Welcome back to the Explainer. Now, if you're feeling that totally familiar burnout, tired of the constant noise, the endless traffic, and just the sheer exhaustion of crowded, overrated tourist traps, then I have found something absolutely incredible to share with you today. We are venturing way off the beaten path to uncover a real secret nestled deep within the Indian Himalayas. I was completely blown away when I first learned about this. We're looking at Manila. It's a breathtaking, genuinely serene, and entirely uncrowded village in the Almora district of Uttarakhand. If you are desperate for an untouched mountain escape, well, this explainer is exactly what you need.
So, let me ask you this. Have you ever heard of a Himalayan temple that can literally predict danger before it happens? According to local lore, the protective goddess of this very region acts as an early warning system for its residents, sensing ill intent and fiercely protecting her community. It's this fascinating blend of deep-rooted faith and ancient mountain mystery, and it absolutely defines the identity of the place we're exploring today. 1,820 meters. To put that into perspective, that is almost 6,000 feet up. Just imagine what being at that altitude in the Kuman Hills actually feels like. Picture stepping out of your car and feeling that immediate shocking crispness in your lungs, breathing in incredibly clean, chilly mountain air mixed with the deep, earthy scent of pine and oak forests. It's the perfect elevation that guarantees cool, breezy summers and absolutely magical snow-covered winters. Okay, let's dive right into this. Here is our roadmap for the explainer. First, the hidden Himalayan gem. Second, the legend of Manila Devi. Third, stargazing and nature trails. And finally, planning your journey. Part 1. The hidden Himalayan gem. An uncrowded escape. In a world where popular hill stations are just bursting at the seams with heavy traffic and blaring horns, Manila remains a remarkably uncrowded escape. It's the kind of place where the loudest sound you're going to hear is just the wind moving through the towering deodar trees. Actually, I found it fascinating that the name Manila comes from the words mani and la, which in local Kumayoni tradition beautifully translates to the abode of jewels. And walking through these pristine forests, it totally lives up to that title. But it's not just a gorgeous landscape. The entire region is deeply, deeply intertwined with the goddess Manila Devi, who is revered as the protective family deity by so many Kumayoni households. All right, moving to part 2, Legend of Manila Devi, the goddess and the thieves. To really grasp the vibe of this region, we have to look at its history and the gripping mythology that binds the whole community together. So the cultural roots here go all the way back to the 7th century, under the rule of the ancient Kateri dynasty, but things get really interesting around the year 1488. Imagine a time of intense conflict and super delicate territorial treaties. It was during this incredibly tense period that King Brahmdev decided to build a temple deep within the dense Manila forest, specifically to protect his vulnerable subjects. And that very structure stood the test of time, eventually undergoing a major renovation in the late 1970s. But here's where the straightforward history turns into a straight-up thriller. According to the stories passed down through generations, a group of thieves once snuck into the dark forest and tried to steal the temple's incredibly precious Ashtadhatu, or 8-metal idol. When they realized they couldn't lift the entire massive statue, they broke off one of the goddess's hands and fled desperately into the night. But as they carried it through the terrifying pitch-black forest, the hand became magically, impossibly heavy. Talk about instant karma. Exhausted, terrified, and literally unable to take another step, the thieves had to abandon the sacred hand right there on the forest floor and run for their lives. Now get this, a single mythological event from centuries ago literally dictated the geographic layout and town planning of the region today. Because of exactly where that magical hand was left in the dirt, the temple is actually split into 2 distinct locations. First, you have Talli Manila, or Lower Manila, sitting at about 1,500 meters, which houses the original ancient temple. And then you have Mala Manila, or Upper Manila, perched way higher at 1,950 meters. And that was built exactly on the spot where the thieves dropped the goddess's hand. Pilgrims and visitors today still make that deeply spiritual journey between both sites. Section 3. Stargazing and nature trails. A sensory experience. Let's shift gears from the rich mythology to the breathtaking physical environment. Imagine waking up early in the morning, seeing a thick layer of frost on your windshield, and stepping out to watch a golden sunrise slowly illuminate a massive unbroken wall of snow-capped mountains. Because of its strategic spot in the Jurasi Range, on clear days, Manala offers an absolutely spectacular panoramic view of the Greater Himalayas. You can gaze out at majestic peaks like Trishul, Panchchuli, Hathimata, which wonderfully translates to the elephant's forehead, and the towering Nanda Devi Massive. Seeing Nanda Devi dominating the skyline isn't just a pretty view, it's a humbling experience that makes you feel delightfully tiny in the best way possible. And this brilliantly illustrates what happens when the sun goes down. Because there is virtually zero light pollution up there, Manila is a world-class destination for stargazing. In the summer months, you get phenomenal, crystal-clear views of the Milky Way core stretching right across the sky. Autumn brings incredibly crisp, cool air, which is absolutely perfect for catching the dazzling Orionid meteor showers as they streak overhead. And in the winter, that cold, dense air provides unparalleled deep sky clarity, completely transforming the quiet landscape under a canopy of stars and thick blankets of pure white snow. And hey, for the nature lovers, the daytime trails winding through the region are just as rewarding. The surrounding oak and pine forests are a total haven for biodiversity, especially if you enjoy birdwatching. You'll want to keep your binoculars ready for rare species fluttering through the canopy, like the cheer pheasant, the Koklas pheasant, and the Himalayan woodpecker. You might even spot the striking Indian paradise flycatcher, which is famous for its incredible, long ribbon-like tail feathers that trail beautifully behind it as it darts through the trees. It is just a wildly immersive experience walking these paths. Finally, Section 4, Planning Your Journey. Let's look at the practical logistics. So we've talked about the magic, the history, and the jaw-dropping views, but how do we actually make this trip happen? Getting the logistics right is surprisingly easy. If you're starting out from Delhi, it's about a 365-kilometer drive, usually taking around 8 to 9 hours. And what makes this drive so special is that it routes you right through the Jim Corbett Forest Range. This means you might literally be spotting incredible wildlife right from your car window before you even hit the mountains. It's also super accessible from Ramnagar or Ranikat if you're already out exploring the wider Kumaon region. But honestly, my favorite part? The price tag. This trip is incredibly affordable. Let's look at a budget for 2 people. Fuel for the round trip will run you about 4,000 to 5,000 rupees. Accommodation is super budget-friendly. You can stay at the government-run KMVN Rest House, which offers stunning valley views, for just 1,500 to 3,000 rupees for a couple of nights. Now, if you prefer a bit more luxury, there are premium options nearby, like the Essence of Nature Resort. But overall, you can do this entire unforgettable weekend getaway for under 13,000 rupees. That is an absolute steal compared to the inflated prices of typical overcrowded tourist spots. So what does this all mean for you? The only question left is, when are you going to escape the crowds and visit the true abode of jewels? Manila is one of those rare, unspoiled corners of the world that offers genuine silence, rich culture, and just jaw-dropping natural beauty. I really hope this explainer has given you all the tools and the inspiration you need to discover it for yourself. Thank you so much for joining us, and keep exploring.